This is the Refinery featuring Free Radical Network, the Party of Choice, and the Conservative Union here on Vigilant Liberty Radio.
All right, good evening. This is Tuesday, it's February something or other. February 3rd? Where am I? This is the Refinery. Yeah, it's late because I was lost, and I still am. The place where grassroots organizations come together to explore the best ways to make conservative messaging work to reach and influence more people. We're live every Tuesday at 8:45-ish Central. Go to therefineryshow.com. That's where you can watch us live and chat live with us. You can also go anytime to watch, listen, and subscribe to the show via YouTube, Vigilant Liberty Radio, iTunes, Stitcher, or TuneIn. Also, plenty of options for you to provide us feedback. We definitely want to hear from you. What topics would you like us to cover in the future? What did you think about this episode? We like feedback. We live online and elsewhere, theoretically, but we're mostly just in our computers. I'm Leslie P. I'm with the Conservative Union, and with us tonight we also have JD and Felicia with Free Radical Network. We'll be joined later, apparently, by Cori and Eddie Paith with the Party of Choice, and anybody else with the Conservative Union or Free Radical Network that gets the link and accidentally clicks on it and joins the hangout.
Falls in our trap. Yes, no, the Party of Choice. The Party of Choice are famous now. They're doing solo radio shots on actual terrestrial radio, so they're too big for us right now. They come in when they want is what's happening. That's
whenever they deign to grace us with their presence, we have to be all honored and stuff. I don't know. And yes, it's Pate, not Paith. And it's spelled Peth, P-E-T-H, and I have to remember to pronounce it Pate. Come on, man, I'm a Texan. I can hardly even read. What the heck? And according to Alcee Hastings, I'm crazy.
I was going to say, do you have to be down on Texas anymore? We've already got Florida, complete with Florida Man.
Florida Man says Texas is crazy. The noive of that guy. I was gonna say something else, but I guess we're trying to be G-rated or something.
Wait, what if Alcee Hastings is Florida Man?
Oh my God, he could be.
That would be amazing.
Florida Man gets elected to Congress and goes really crazy. Alcee Hastings is Florida Man. I anticipate tomorrow that the entire Texas contingent in Washington is going to stand on the steps and I don't know, sing the state song, sing Texas Our
okay.
Texas.
I'm sorry, please. Before we go into this even more, I'm not from Texas, therefore I'm not Texas centric. Even though I know more Texas politicians than I really should.
You know more about Texas politics than I do.
I freaking know who your comptroller is. I don't know who the comptroller is in New Jersey. So I'm not informed about this story. I saw it briefly, but there are people in the chat room that are scratching their heads right now and saying, what is going on here, you Texans?
Okay, I will give us a brief summary. Apparently this afternoon there was a meeting in the House Rules Committee or one of the other committees. They were discussing voting on the repeal of Obamacare, and the position of the Democrats on that is that we're wasting everybody's time and we're stupid doo-doo heads or whatever. But Alcee Hastings, who is a congressman from Florida, he was responding to Michael Burgess, I believe, who's one of our congressmen from Texas. And he actually said something about the state of Texas being crazy. You're from that crazy state. And then he specified, and I said that and I meant it. And then there was a little bit of pushback from the Texas guys saying, did you really mean to call this state, the citizens of this state, crazy? And he doubled down and absolutely said, yes, I don't mean to call you, Mr. Congressman, my colleague. I'm not calling you crazy. I'm calling the state crazy. I mean, he even clarified that he thinks his colleague is perfectly fine because, you know, politicians are good people, but that the citizens of Texas were crazy cakes. And somebody asked him when he was going to apologize, and he said he would apologize when hell freezes over. And there was some rather, I thought it was pretty funny, Texas congressmen clutching at their pearls, how dare you insult us? I am offended. It was actually kind of funny, but I don't expect that the Texas congressional delegation is going to let it slide. They're going to carry it for all it's worth because publicity and because fun.
Right, and when you have a congressman such as Alcee
Hastings calling us crazy,
there's a certain amount of humor in that, and it does kind of beg, what's the best response when the left gets nasty? Do you get nasty and belligerent back? Do you step back and do, as you said, clutch your pearls and feign offense and the fit of the vapors, or what do you do there? I think it's really interesting to see how this is going to play out, because you want to put the left on the wrong foot. When they do something like that, you want to keep them on the wrong foot. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be interesting to see what they do with this.
I think it is going to be funny. At least I hope it is, because nobody's genuinely offended, because, who cares what Florida man says?
How Texan. You know what's really crazy, though, and to sort of move on from the craziness that is Florida and Texas, the thing the first story that got put into the queue this week. And
wait a minute. Did you just call Texas crazy?
I think you just were hearing things.
I don't have my pearls on. But them spotted, son.
Okay.
That's what you get for calling us crazy.
I'm sorry. It was a misstep, or I misspoke. That's what it is. The story that we did actually want to get to first here is the story of, Seattle. Come on, guys. It's troubling to me because Seattle, and I feel for Seattle. I don't feel for Seattle, no. I feel for Washington State, because I live in New Jersey. I know how conservative New Jersey can be outside of its population centers and the liberal areas. That's basically what it is. Washington is a conservative state outside of Seattle and its surrounding suburbs. That's it. It's amazing just the situation there demographically, how one population center can hold hostage the entire state. But coming out of the Washington Times by Fingers Malloy of everywhere, he talks about a new ordinance that's going to be put into place that makes it illegal to throw away food in the trash. You can't throw food away in the trash. It has to be composted or put into a separate container than
kids are supposed to report on their parents, and you're supposed to report on your neighbors and stuff.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous. It's amazing that this is something that is been allowed to happen. Who even thinks about how on earth are they going to enforce this? What is going on?
Can we say, though, that part of the problem, part of the fault for this, lies with those of us who don't kind of watchdog our local governments? And this, originally I heard this whole story from Fingers on Tony Katz's show in the morning on WIBC. And he was talking about all the other things that California bans and whatnot, and then now Seattle's getting into the act. It's this sort of thing that you can't quite get away from in these cities, especially that are liberal enclaves. But it's spreading. It's not something that's isolating itself to the city. Bag bans, plastic bag bans all over the place, things like that. You find that
by the way, don't actually do any good. They're bad and harmful, but it makes people feel good about themselves. So
it does. But you have these governments, these entities that people aren't looking at because they're so busy looking at the national picture and getting upset about that. That the lever to move a city council or a mayor's race or something like that on a smaller scale is so much smaller that you need. And so many people won't look at those things because the national politics are so much sexier. Presidential year politics are so much sexier. It's very discouraging, and I'm encouraged to hear that there are at least somebody's looking at these things, somebody's watching them. But I think we all need to commit this year, especially. This is a lot of municipal elections this year for a lot of places. We need to commit to get a little bit more involved on the local scene, not necessarily taking our eyes off the national scene, but recognizing that this is the sort of stuff that slips in while we're looking at what the guys are doing in Washington.
Well, and it also can be part of, if you don't like electoral politics, if you don't like dealing with politicians and political parties, pick a cause instead, because some of this stuff happens because the groups that decide they are the cause of Mothers Against Plastic Bags or whatever they are, they come together as a cause, and then they make it happen because everybody else is focusing on national politics. So maybe you don't care about your mayor or your city council person, but maybe you care about some other local cause that you can get involved in, making your child's lunches healthy and nutritious and, I don't know, edible. Or, finding a way to provide meals for people before and after school that aren't part of taxpayer-funded education funds that are done by charitable groups in the city. Maybe there's something you can get involved in that allows for restaurants to donate their leftover food at the end of the day to homeless and hungry people. Maybe you can get involved in a cause like that that's going to really change the face of your city, and that can be your conservative political activism. And it still has nothing to do with elected officials or the Republican Party or any of that stuff.
No, absolutely not. And it's one of those things where you can find tons of these causes and have a huge impact in your area just by championing them. And think about it. A lot of these things, like say the homeless feeding ordinances in Florida and in Texas. I mean, I don't want to get Fishy started on this because she gets nuts over this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, these things are extremely detrimental to people. It's very harmful, and it hurts actual people. It's amazing the stuff that the state is preventing you from doing to help other people.
And we've talked about the motivation for that time and again. It's all taking place around people and among people. Those kind of legislation, those discussions taking place among people who do not pay the costs socially, financially, whatever, for the thing that they're against.
Right,
whatever.
And it doesn't hurt me if I spend another 1% of my livelihood on food because I make so much money that another 1% is no big deal. But it really impacts the poor people, but I don't care about them. So it's more, I think people should use paper bags instead of plastic. So because I'm not effective at persuading the public, because I'm no good at convincing them because it's really wrong, since should isn't effective, I'm going to go for the law and make it a must. And there's a big difference, and that I think is a big difference between conservatives and liberals. We tend to go for the shoulds. We will preach to you. We will try to sell you on our ideas. We will try to convince you of the type of life you should lead, and we will trust you to make your own decisions because we want you to be in control of your own life, and we want you to be able to own the morality of your choices, because it's really only a moral victory if you've chosen it yourself. Whereas the left, they don't necessarily care so much about moral victories. They just want to control you, and they bypass should and go for must. And we end up losing the difference a lot.
Well, and we talk time and again that compulsion does not